Well, if you look at IP space allocations, one thing which is remarkable about Russia is the number of ASNs. And the way how these CDNs interact with ISPs actually defines the new way of peering, the new face of peering. Introducing customer marketplace to MSKIX portal, and actually we think that it would be perfectly
Merci. Grâce à MSKIX, le français est très en vogue parmi les AXPs invités. Et je voulais encore dire merci à Franck et à Solène et à toute l'équipe de MSKIX pour cette invitation. Well, and I'm almost sorry to continue in English. And I'm here today to talk about MSKIX and the Russian networking landscape, as you can probably guess from the picture. Right, so it's probably a well-known fact that Russia has a lot of internet users. Actually, it's the largest European internet audience, about 84 million adult internet users. Which is probably a less known fact is that it also has probably the largest number of users in Europe yet to be connected. So it represents a huge potential for all kinds of internet companies, and a lot of things are happening there, right? One particular thing is that all the web ecosystem of Russia is largely defined by the language. So we used to have local companies that compete on a national level quite successfully with global players. And so this competition contributes to the development of all the internet services in Russia. So, for example, in search we have Yandex along with Google and YouTube. In OTT video, most of major players are based in Russia. In social networks we have VK, we have Odnoklassniki, which is the Russian word for classmates, which are hugely popular along with Facebook and Twitter and other social networks. So, speaking in terms of domains, there's about 5 million domain registrations in .ru, which makes the .ru CCTLD the fifth or sixth CCTLD in size. And also we have .rf, this is the zone for CCTLD for Cyrillic domains, and the number of registrations for .rf is wandering around 1 million. Well, if you look at IP space allocations, one thing which is remarkable about Russia is the number of ASNs. Russia has lots of ASNs. With only 1% of IP space, it has about 5,000 or 6,000 AS registrations. It's second only to the United States. And there is actually an explanation for that. 10 to 15 years ago, starting an ISP or voice over IP provider was a very popular form of startups in different parts of the country. And so since then there's been much consolidation, but still many companies are around, as you can probably see from the RIPE membership, right? So it's lots of networks, lots of traffic, lots of peering happening to our joy. And MSKIX has been around for more than 20 years, and we are probably one of the first internet exchanges who started building satellite exchanges in other cities of the country. So now we are running IXPs in 9 locations, and there's about 500 customers connected. Well, I don't want to repeat the information from the website. What I want to say is just like any other big internet exchange, we are obsessed with scaling and with redundancy, and for that we are doing topology research, we work with vendors, we lay fiber, we partner with colo sites, and so on and so forth. And there's about 500 networks connected, and from 15 countries. You probably recognize some of the logos, and some of them are national players. So it's a very diverse community, and actually statistics says that MSKIX aggregates more unique networks in Europe than any other major European internet exchange. Those are the networks that do not appear elsewhere but in Moscow. Right, and so this is probably so much for the current state. Right? What I want to concentrate on for the rest of my talk is on the future, and there's been lots of discussions today already. What trends will shape IXP development in the years to come? And probably one of the most obvious trends is decline in transit prices, but in my opinion, since quite a while, connecting to an IXP is not about saving on transit. Today, many companies build and scale their own networks. So that means that their networking costs are largely defined by their internal operations rather than by how much they pay to ISPs, right? This is a very big shift in IXP customers' motivation, and we really trying to figure out what to do with it and what our strategy should be with respect to this change. Right? Another interesting trend is actually in the new world, ISPs are actually becoming a minority. Right? I made a quick research and I looked at 100 latest ASN attributions in Russia. And I found out that only 24% of them can be really considered ISPs. Right? So who gets autonomous systems nowadays? There's a cloud CMS, a state agency, an e-commerce website, an energy company, even a food factory. I couldn't figure out why would a food factory need an autonomous system, but the fact is here, very diverse organizations are prepared to build and run their own networks, right? And also they're changing approaches to how they do it, right? I recently picked up a buzzword, web scale IT. I don't know if you know what it is. It describes the wish of enterprises, of companies to match the speed and flexibility of web companies in delivering IT services. And so there is a lot of pressure and motivation for them to outsource various business IT tasks to the cloud, and that leads to a massive growth of online transactions, right? So web scale IT requires fast provisioning and reliable connectivity between networks, right? Another trend is OTT video, which is really taking over, right? We all feel that the web audience is changing. There's more young people who use the web as a primary source of video content, who use it for entertainment, and we all see that new media and traditional media have to be online, have to shift to OTT to follow the audience, right? So I don't need to explain it to this audience. Well, you all know that probably 70 to 80% of the internet traffic is video, and so CDNs and also internal CDNs, in-house distributed caches, become the primary source of traffic, right? And the way how these CDNs interact with ISPs actually defines the new way of peering, the new face of peering. So where does it take us and how MSKIX responds to all that, right? We also, in discussions about our strategy, we also are thinking about what services should we offer to our customers. I would just want to go through a couple of examples. Well, of course, we continue with our core services, providing internet exchange in where most of the peering is. And for us, this is it's about 9 cities in Russia, and we try to monitor the situation in all major cities and to find out where IXP services are needed. But of course, we cannot be everywhere. So we rely on our partnership network. There's about 20 operators who provide capacity for remote connection to MSKIX, both from Russian cities and from abroad. Right? But then we actually went a step further, because building out in Russia is not an easy task even for Russian companies, not to say nothing of foreign companies. So we came up with a one-stop solution for deploying customers' distributed POPs. And it actually comprises three main components. It's co-location at the MSKIX site, its connection to our local IXs, and it's IP transit or transborder capacity which is provided by our partners, right? So this is an operational thing that saves a lot of time for our customers, field engineers, and there are quite a significant number of large distributed players who are using it. So Yandex, you probably all know it, it's quoted on NASDAQ, and EV is the leading OTT video site in Russia, right? Well, CDNs, OTTs, and hosters are traditional IXP customers, but we're also thinking what we can do with for broadcasters, right? And we came up with a solution for broadcasters and IP cable operators, which we call media logistics. It's a B2B solution, and it consists in aggregating and delivering MPEG-TS video streams from broadcasters to TV channels and cable OTT operators. So we designed a separate service layer in our network. There's actually a few specific things when you're dealing with video. We added multiplexing, we added extended monitoring, we needed to add access management. We do nothing with the rights for broadcasting. This is done separately, but we have a controlling mechanism that the operators who ingest streams from us do actually have the permission from content owners, right? And so now we have about 40 TV channels on our TV VLAN, and lots of cable and OTT operators are using it as a source of video streams, right? So, well, if I had to summarize our strategy in one line, I would say that we are moving from switching to matching, from switching bytes or Ethernet frames for our customers to matching our customers together. So most of our thoughts are about helping our customers buy and sell IP-centric services and helping operating in a more efficient way. And so this resonates very well with what I heard today about France IX development. We are thinking about branded access VLANs to be used by service providers, ISPs like Cloud, anti-DDoS, right? And so I saw this fantastic feature implemented at France IX and probably pick it up and try to do something similar. We're also thinking about introducing customer marketplace to MSKIX portal, and actually we think that it would be perfectly normal if customers will be able to buy and sell IP transit or other IP services at the MSKIX. So this is a little bit like I don't know if you heard a Chinese proverb, when the wind of change is blowing, try to build windmills and not walls. And this is what we are trying to do. That's almost all from me. One more thing, we always felt that keeping in touch with our customers is a very important thing, and for that, for 11 years in a row, we are running an event which we call MSKIX Peering Forum. The next event is right behind the corner on the 1st of December. It's in Moscow. Save the date. Consider yourself invited. It's a big event, about 500 attendees. It's translated simultaneously, so you will feel connected with the community. So we'll be happy for all of you to come. Okay, that's all. Thank you, and now I'll be happy to take your questions.
I was wondering if you know if anyone's taken a look at the ASs registered in the RIPE report and done a separate count sort of separately from that versus how many actually have more than one AS adjacency, in the routing data. So of the 5,000, ish registered in Russia, do you know how many have at least, or have two adjacencies or multi-homed or peer?
Well, the general statistics say that the majority of ISs are stub ISs, right? And you all know that on a global scale. However, Russia has long distances, right? And so it has a long history of connecting different regions together. So multi-homing was really a vital thing for regional providers if they needed to keep up a certain quality of service. So my guess is that the number of multi-homed IS in Russia on average is greater than that in the world. Okay, any more questions? Okay, thank you so much.
So the next presenter is Marc Bruyère from